All right, welcome officially now to Press for Success and our bi-weekly PR class. I'm excited you're here. Today's topic is one of my favorites because no one ever talks about it. We talk about getting press and then we sort of like leave the rest, the after part off. So we were talking about you got press, now what? How to share and leverage your publicity. Because here's the jam. If you're going to work really hard to get yourself publicity and then you don't do anything afterwards, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities. So today we're going to spend the next hour talking about what some of those ways you can share and leverage it are, and also how to do that in a way that doesn't make you feel funny about sharing. It's interesting. We work so hard to get publicity, and then we feel really funny about sharing it with everybody. Everyone who, for the most part, wants to celebrate your success with you. If they don't, that's their own issue, and that's a story for another day. So here's today's plan. Here's what we're going to talk about. And again, we're going to have you out the door again in about an hour. So whether you're listening to us live or whether you're joining us as part of our recorded series of classes, I welcome you. And here's what we are going to be talking about today. So as always, as we do every single time we meet up together, we do a mindset check-in because you got to get your mind in the game before you start executing. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with, wait for it, the feels that all start to pop up when you see everybody else getting publicity and you aren't. Because everybody's been there. Even people who are getting mad press right now have been in the position, and because PR ebbs and flows, they will probably find themselves in the position again when you're just not getting a lot of press and everyone else is. So we're going to talk about how to deal with those feels because it can stop you from being productive if you don't squash those sort of jealous / oh, I'll never amount to anything feelings. We're also going to talk about really quickly why you need to share and promote your press in the first place, because I know your bandwidth is really small. Most of us who run our own businesses, who do our own things, have a lot going on. So why do you want to take the time to do more with your publicity once you get it? Why can't you just be like, ugh, I got it. That's awesome. Moving on to my giant list of to-dos. No, you have to do more once you get publicity. So I'm going to talk to you about that today. The next up is we're going to talk about some social newsletter and email promotion strategies. We're going to talk about how to increase your exposure the right way by engaging other platforms to share this news. So we'll give some examples for each, like for Twitter, for Facebook, for your newsletter, for your social. Talk about how to share things strategically. We are also going to talk about leveraging your press into sales, whether that is sales of a product or sales of your service or your expertise, because some of you aren't product makers, you are experts. So we'll talk about how to use your publicity to get sales, because as a lot of you probably know, press itself doesn't automatically lead to sales. It's a hard lesson we sometimes learn. So we're going to talk about how to encourage, how to massage your press like kale into something that you want it to become. We're also going to talk about how to keep the relationship going after a press hit. So another word for publicity is a hit. So once you get that hit, how do you, it is like a drug, right? So once you get that hit, how do you keep the relationship with the member of the press that you were working with? How do you keep that going? We're going to talk about that because it doesn't have to be like, okay, we work together, talk to you never. No, instead it can be like, this is a seed. This is the beginning of a long-term relationship with this member of the press. And finally, we have some of you who are with us live and some of you who are going to be listening to this as a recording. Hello to you all. We have some questions that you sent in that you wanted answered. We picked a couple out that we're going to answer today as well. So we'll close with that. So let's get started. We have a lot to talk about, and a lot of what we're talking about you can start using right now, even on old press you got months or years ago. So let's get to it. Before we do, always remind you, even when you're listening to this as a recording, we like to communicate with you on social media. So when you tweet with us, we tweet using the hashtag Press for Success, and we tweet with the handle at Sabina Knows. I love hanging out with a lot of you, as you know, on Instagram and Insta Stories. So the handle there is, of course, at Sabina Knows as well. Same hashtags. I do a lot of connecting with a lot of you on Insta Stories. So if you're there, come hang out with me. It's a selection of biz talk, PR talk, hanging out in New York City, and a lot of my dog. That's the truth. So you'll like something in that mix. And finally, don't forget that at the end of this live class and anytime you fancy, there's a Facebook community of hundreds of small business owners who are engaging in the Press for Success PR methods. They're taking free classes, they're taking our guided classes, and they're also in this Facebook community sharing opportunities. I share press leads in there. We encourage each other, we give each other advice. So if you're not in there, be sure you join us. And the link is at the bottom highlighted right now. And I'll show it to you again later. But it's just search for Press for Success in Facebook and you'll find us there. And it's a private group. So it's not all kinds of wacky, weird promotion that some groups have. Like, I'm all about you promoting your businesses, and we do that on Proclaim It Tuesdays. But there is no, I mean, you know what I mean. It's a safe place to be a hardcore entrepreneur. So right before we get started, though, just in case you're new here, because some of you have been here for years, some of you listening to the recording, you're like, yep, I know, I'm listening to you at the gym right now because I know you are Carol. So hello in recording world. So if you don't know me, though, that is me, obviously, and that is George Michael, my office assistant, as many of you know who are in my Instagram world. I'm a former high school teacher and curriculum designer who has always loved education. Teaching is my passion. And the reason I do these classes is because I believe that accessible education is the most important thing. After teaching, I ran a PR agency in New York City for over 10 years, and I specialized in small businesses, experts, and entrepreneurs. And for almost as long, I've been teaching entrepreneurs to do their own PR, though now it all has an official home here in Sabina Knows world. And all of our digital education is under our Press for Success umbrella. That's what we call our education platform. And let me tell you, we have success stories. Just recently, our students were slaying Mother's Day, from TV segments with tips to Mother's Day gift guides. They're booking Father's Day stuff right now. And I know just from sharing and hearing your successes, you're hitting up everything from Today's Show to Forbes, Oprah to Reader's Digest. What? So stick with us here. You learn a lot, and our students actually execute and make beautiful PR happen. And that makes me so happy. Alrighty, so let's get our mindset on. I promised you we'd talk about it before we started, and now the lesson is beginning, and the lesson always begins with mindset work. It's like stretching out before a workout, like warming up actually before a workout, right? All right, so we talked about, you know how it feels when other people are getting press and you aren't maybe getting the press you want, and then you feel all like, ugh, inside, and you're either sort of jealous, you feel bad about that, or you just feel really defeated. So that's what our mindset work is today. What to think when someone else gets pressed. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to be the person who claps when other people win. It feels better, for starters. So when someone else gets pressed, the first thing you do is be the person who claps in person or digitally on Twitter or Instagram at them when they win. Then we remind ourselves that there is enough pie for everyone. There are enough press opportunities. If you are strategic and authentic, there's enough for everyone. Then we call on one of my favorite lyrics from one of my favorite songs. I won't use the full words because some of you have delicate ears. But pouring salt in my sugar won't make yours any sweeter. Doing something in my yard ain't going to make yours any greener. It's not going to make you feel any better or be any more successful if you start bashing people because you're jealous. So just lay off the gas on that one. It is wasting your time. We also remember that a rising tide lifts all boats. This is especially important to remember when people in your own industry and people in your own field, your peers, whether you know them personally or not, are getting press. And you're like, darn it, that was my press they got. But think about it. They are just raising the bar and raising the visibility of your whole industry. And that's a good thing. If we all encourage each other, we all become more successful exponentially. And finally, here's what I do, and it's true and it's strategic. When I see my competition get press, I say, wait, my competition got press? Great. That means there's a real call and a need for my story and my industry and my expertise out there. So let me get inspired by their success, and then let me get strategic. Because that's what you really need to do. If you see people in your industry getting press, of course, we run through this cycle. This is your cycle. You clap for them. Oh my gosh, that's great. That is so cool that they are successful. Congrats to them. I remember there's enough for me, and what is meant for me is not going to pass me by if I take action. because if you don't take action, it will pass you by. I remember that bashing them is not going to get me anywhere because a rising tide lifts all boats. And then finally, you say, darn, or hot damn, they're getting press. Our industry is PR sexy right now. What can I do to ride that wave of publicity as well? So then you get your publicity, right? Because that's what we're talking about today. You get press, you get publicity. If you're a student in these classes, and by the way, if you've missed classes, they're all on my website. You can just press play and watch them. If you get publicity, which you're going to do if you're a student here, what do you do now? Why should you even care? Like, why waste 10 more minutes of your time thinking about this publicity because you're tired? That was hard work, most likely. Here's why, because it's your responsibility to post and make sure you plan future posts about your press. It's your responsibility to share this press. You worked hard for it, but the story doesn't end with you landing this publicity. Oh no, it's your responsibility to share it. Why is it your responsibility? Number one, it helps people find you. People need you. I don't know if you are a fitness expert, if you are a fashion stylist, if you are making handbags or hot dogs. You need to help people find you. And then you need to make sure they trust you. And that's what publicity does. They need to pick you out of everybody in the pack of people who do what you do. People who are courting them for their business through Facebook ads and through marketing and through meeting them at parties and through Google. All these people, you need to stand out. So that's one of the first reasons you need to share this so they can find you and so they can trust you. It also keeps your community excited and engaged. And I mean your community like your team, whether you are a team of 1 or 3 or 30, and also all the people around you, your social media followers, your customers, your clients. They want to be working with someone who means business and who the world is excited about. So it keeps everyone in your office and everyone outside of your office excited, even your family and friends. And when people are excited about you, they are talking about you. And that is another part of PR and marketing. Like, you just want to be talked about right now. It also celebrates you, and that's an important thing. The press celebrated you once, but you need to celebrate this as well. And we're going to talk more about that later. But remember, not everyone's watching your press as it happens. Not everyone saw that newspaper article or that blog post or that TV segment or that TV show you appeared on. So you need to celebrate it with them again so they can celebrate with you. When you share your publicity, it is like saying thank you to the press who featured you. It's like saying thank you, and look, I'm spreading your reach and your own visibility through my network. So that's an important thing. And again, it validates you. So you need to be validated. The press and logos, they're a big validator. And there are so many people out there, some of them for good reasons, some of them not always good reasons, making a lot of noise. You need to break through that noise, and that's what your publicity does. And people need to know you're getting publicity. So that's why you need to share it. People care. And then I ask you, if a press hit happens, but no one sees or hears about it, does it really exist? Obviously it does, but does it really matter if nobody knows you're getting this press? Sure, it feels good in your heart, and you can do a happy dance, and that's awesome. But we are here to talk about business growth and survival, so you need to share that press. There should be no question about it anymore. It's a non-negotiable, my friends. So let's talk about some specifics in terms of sharing and promoting your press. The most obvious is, of course, sharing on social media. So you want to share on the platforms that you engage on the most. That's a non-negotiable. Now, I tend to share Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you are on those platforms, I'm hoping and assuming most of you are, those are some definite places you share. Remember, the right way on social is you don't have to say, and you can, but you don't always just have to say, hey, I was featured in the press. Here's what it is. I mean, you can surely say, hey, I was featured in Redbook sharing my 5 favorite tax tips for women. Come find out what they are. Here's the link. Sure, you can do things like that, but that doesn't have to be the only way you share it, especially because, remember, I want you to share it more than once, and we'll talk about how. So think of other ways to share your press on social media that are a bit more engaging. So you can share a quote from the article you are in and then link to it. So one of the biggest mistakes women make in taxes is believing they can't handle their taxes, says you. And then you link to the article. And then, of course, you would include a thanks for including me, Inc., and the editor. So again, instead of just saying, hey, I'm in Redbook sharing tax tips, yay, you lure them in by sharing a quote or sharing something sexy that you said in that article that will draw them in. Another way you can draw them in while sharing your press and being a little less boring on social media is to tell them what they're going to see. So, for instance, last week, NBC7's Melanie Brown came into our offices and let our entire team help tell the story of the growth of Becca's Brownies. I even dish on my biggest mistakes. Watch it all on the clip below. Ooh, this sounds interesting to me. Instead of I was on NBC7. Watch it below. Snore, snooze fest. I don't think so. So tell them what they're going to see. Tease something out. Give them a quote if you're in a blog or on a website or in a newspaper article in a magazine. That draws them in more. I want you to see some other ways people are sharing. These are real students of ours over here, so I'm giving them a little virtual high five. So Dawn Del Russo in Closer magazines, she's telling you how you can get the Hollywood glam look of Rita Hayworth. So she's telling you what she's going to share with you, and then you can zoom in and check out her tips. Lisa over here shares that she is grateful for this press. I like when people say thank you or they're grateful, especially when they're authentic. Lisa's post is really authentic. She's grateful to be part of the story exchange. Thank you for the Friday spotlight. So she's saying thank you, and it's a great way to share her press at the same time. As you'll also notice, she's linking to story exchange, and she's got the right hashtags, things like that. So again, more ways to share your publicity. It doesn't always just have to be, I was in here, click below. And I know that's a temptation sometimes because we feel a little funny sharing, but remember, it's a non-negotiable. We have to for so many reasons, for letting people celebrate with us. The people who are with us through this journey deserve a little celebration with us, and letting people get to know you more, trust you more, etc. Again, more thankfulness, but I want you to notice some other things as well. So another student, Color Clutch, she's featured on a segment in DC with Pamela Peckerman. But what I love about this, so she says she's so honored, she's so thankful. That's another thing to say. If you feel honored, own that. Let people know. And then you'll notice she also lets you know where in the video she appears, because she's in a long segment here. It's about 7 minutes long. So she lets you know, if you don't want to watch the whole segment, because people's brains have a very short attention span, here's exactly where you can find me. That's very strategic. Another thing she does, Color Clutch does, it's very strategic, is when she says she's honored and she mentions why she's honored, because she was chosen for a clever concept. And then she tells you you can shop directly here. So instead of her linking directly to the Today Show video, she has a great screen grab of the Today Show video, and she links to exactly where you can go and shop for her product. So again, she's getting that validation from the press hit, but she's letting you shop because you're like, oh my gosh, Bobby Thomas and the Today Show said it was amazing. It must be amazing because people's minds honestly think that way. I'm sure you've been there before too. You've thought that way. So you want to ride that wave of excitement with the Today Show approval. Let them go directly and shop. That's why I love online shares. People can click directly over to buy your product. A few more musts when you are socially sharing. The first thing I want you to make sure you do, please, and you saw this in my sample tweets, include a share and a tweet. So you're sharing it and you're tweeting it. When you do that, you mention the outlet that featured you. So you link to them, whether it is a Twitter handle, a Facebook link when you can highlight their name and link to them, an Instagram tag on your Instagram post tagging the media outlet. So you're linking to the media outlet, and you are also going to link to the specific press person who did the story. Next thing I want you to do, were there other people featured in your story, other businesses, other experts? Create future tweets that include them or mention something you learned from them or about them. So you have two different kinds of ways you can share beyond, hey, I was in Redbook giving tax advice. You're going to be always including the outlet's name and the person who did the story with you, producer, editor, blogger, whoever. And you're going to create another kind of post if there are other people in your story who you can highlight. Why do we do this? Number one, it's another way to say thank you to the editor and to the magazine or TV show. And it also gives their content some extra buzz and reach. So they like that. The other thing is, when you do this, when you link to the publication or the writer or someone else on Twitter, they will most likely retweet it, which leads to even more visibility for your publicity that they're highlighting and your business. So think about it. You share some fashion tips and they are featured in Teen Vogue. And instead of just saying, hey, I got in Teen Vogue, check out my tips, you then create a tweet that highlights this, and Teen Vogue then retweets it to all of their many readers. And so not only are they retweeting content of yours, they're retweeting a strategic tweet that highlights the fact that they trust you as an expert. So all of their readers are now looking at this tweet and saying, hey, look at this person. They were validated by Teen Vogue, and I saw that because Teen Vogue tweeted about them. So it's a great way to instantly and exponentially increase the reach of your publicity. So again, anytime you're sharing that post, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, make sure you link in people in via their their handles and their tags on Instagram. And then I'm not saying every single person in the article should be mentioned in an Instagram post, their own Instagram post. That's a bit much, but you surely can tweet at them, and you can probably include them in a Facebook post, and you can probably even include them in an Insta story. And that's still drawing them into their world. But the Twitter is the real sweet spot in terms of people retweeting you, etc. And again, even tagging these editors in an Instagram post celebrating your press is going to draw these reporters and editors to your Instagram feed. They may begin to follow you, they will connect with you, and that's how that relationship grows there as well. Now, remember, for social media, your content cannot live on one post alone. You will get washed away in the river of noise and content and value and selfies, etc., that is all up in Twitter and Instagram. That is, there's just like too much content there. You need to share your post, and you need to share it more than once in dazzling, original, and authentic ways. That is your job. So, what you need to do is create a system, and we'll talk about that now, that allows this post to not just be a one post wonder. You can't work so hard for a press hit, even if it's just a few tips in a local blog. You can't do that press and have it just be one moment. And if I wasn't sitting at my computer at that very moment to see that tweet or that Instagram post, I would never see it again. That is so, so sad. No. So instead, you're going to create a system. The system can be as simple as I get press, and then I save that press, and we'll talk about how, and I share it once, and then I create multiple future posts to share it again. So you're going to share it once across your platforms, obviously, when it just happened, so exciting, strategically, like we just spoke about. And then you're going to create multiple future posts to share it with, going months, even a year into the future. How do you store and share those future posts? You know, and I'm not paid by them, I'm just really into them. I use Meet Edgar. To me, it is the easiest and most strategic way for me to reshare my posts. Other people I know use Buffer or Hootsuite. What I like about Meet Edgar is that I can put, like, package and categorize my content, my tweets, even Facebook posts, Instagram, whatever. I can package them into categories. So I can say, these are all my Throwback Thursday posts that I want to have going. And I want those to only run on Thursdays between 12 and 3 p.m. And every kind of tweet in that bucket, that category, runs at a certain time into the future. So they shuffle through the different posts, so it's always fresh and new, and it goes on whatever times I want that category to run. Every day, only on Fridays, only on Tuesday mornings. It all runs like that. I also want to say that it works. So I know that since using Meet Edgar to reshare my blog posts, my classes, my tweets, my social media, all that jazz, ever since using that to reshare my social content and the press I'm getting, everything, I've seen huge traffic increases to my site, and people discover content that they never would have seen before had I not reshared it. Lisa from Your Pet Chef, who's another student of our classes here, she has said to me she recently started using, I believe, Buffer, and she instantly saw traffic back to blog posts and social, like, publicity, everything that she had shared before. So again, you want to be doing that. You want to be resharing it, not just once on social media, but repeatedly. Again, like I alluded to earlier, Social media loves the Throwback Thursday. So don't forget to include your past press success in a Throwback Thursday post. What if you had a really killer TV moment 3 years ago? Does that mean you can't share it? Oh, heck no, you should share it. People need to see that killer TV moment, and your community grows regularly, so some people missed it. So create some fun Throwback Thursday posts to share past press success. This is a really great strategy when you want an excuse to dig way back into that press vault and share things that new members of your community may have missed. Finally, remember, you're doing this because you owe it to people. They need to find you. They need to celebrate with you. They need to build trust in you. And this is how you do it. That is how your business grows and succeeds. So, again, you owe it to them. So, don't let that content just go in one post and then never again. That is not how content is spread. It's not strategic. And if you are working so hard to get this press, you better make sure people can see it. Another way we are sharing is in our newsletter. I've often asked, to newsletter or not to newsletter. Do I send a newsletter when I get publicity? It's a big caps yes. Of course you do. You can at the very least add it to your newsletter campaign schedule. So if you know you're having a once a month newsletter or a once a week newsletter, once a quarter, I think that's not often enough. I'm just going to say it. People will forget about you. But whatever it is, if you already have some content you're sharing, make a little bit of that content the publicity you got, because remember, not everyone is staring at your local or regional or even the national press or news all day long. So if they miss it because they didn't see it and you share it nowhere else, they're out of luck. They don't see it. Not everybody's on Facebook all day long, but they still spend money. My mom doesn't stare at Facebook all day long, but she darn well gets my newsletters and knows what's going on. So help people find the news in other ways besides social media. Social media, even because of its own back end, is not always getting you in front of everybody. So again, it's not the only place you can share this news. If your press is newsworthy enough, and we'll talk about what that means in a second, but if your press is newsworthy enough, you can make the entire newsletter a spotlight on your press success. Can you? Yes, you can. Again, people get all like, oh, I don't know, people are going to judge me or think I'm bragging or not care. That's totally not true. What do I think is newsworthy? I feel like if you just had, first of all, in PR, you can make anything newsworthy. If there's an article like 5 entrepreneurs share their best tip from their dad for Father's Day, and you're featured in it, and you are one of 5 entrepreneurs, and you're still super excited about that, you can share that press hit. And I'll tell you in a second how you can expand on that moment so it's worthy of a spotlight in a newsletter, even if you only have a little blurb in a story. But again, if you're just getting little blurbs here and there, which is great publicity, but again, it's a lot of little blurbs here and there, you might not want to write a newsletter for every single little blurb. But if you get local press, definite local or regional press that spotlights your business, you want to share that. If you are featured sharing your tips in a magazine or a newspaper or a blog and you really think it's newsworthy, definitely share it. I've done that, and I'm going to show you how I did it in a second. So again, if you're doing a lot of little things, maybe wait and share them all at once together so you're not bombarding people. But if there's a cool press moment, whether it's local or national, and you are psyched about it, you can totally do a spotlight newsletter on that. And remember, you don't just share it in a newsletter and call it a day. Again, not enough. I want to make this work for you. Don't put the work into doing a newsletter and not make it really do all it could for you. So instead, expand upon that newsletter. Instead, let the newsletter lead them into a blog post that you wrote about this press success. And I'll tell you about how to do that in a second. Give them more insight. Give them you know how The Bachelor has like Beyond the Rose, After the Rose or something, and like what happened before and after? You can do that as well. You can expand on this one press opportunity. You can also celebrate your press with people, even in your newsletter, by sharing a promotion or a sales code. A lot of times when I see entrepreneurs or even companies that I shop from, when I see them get publicity, I get really excited for them. And then I get especially excited because they'll do something like, hey, celebrate with us. Here's 30% off for the next week using code Oprah Magazine or something. So your newsletter can do more than just simply share. But the first answer to these questions, do we newsletter? Yes. I don't care if it's a sidebar or a one of the three pieces of content you discuss in your newsletter, or if it's a spotlight newsletter all about that press opportunity that includes a really killer promotion code so that they can get excited and then shop from you. You definitely want to engage your newsletter if you have one. If you don't, get a newsletter. You got to get a newsletter. It's a part of your brand. It's a way you can communicate regularly with your customers, clients, and community that you're sharing. But I'm not talking about that today. So again, I alluded to talking about leading them into your blog because I'm a big believer that if someone opens your newsletter, for the most part, the majority of the time, you want to then bring them over to your website. Share some more, get them in your world, get them in your universe, draw them in even more to your brand. So let's talk about what that could look like when you're sharing publicity. So we're basically going to talk about how to share this sexy press you're getting on your blog. Let's dive in. Okay. Again, social media or sharing it, live on social media is a great moment, but it's like a shooting star in the world of marketing and content. It doesn't last forever. It's like bing and it's gone. So it's beautiful. Oh my God, that was an amazing Instagram post you did. It's gone. No one cares anymore. I mean, they might when they're stalking your feed, but it's buried and they're only going to stalk like 3 weeks in, right? So unless they're, really into stalking you. So point being, it can't just be a social media post and then it disappears. So you're scheduling multiple social media posts. That's the first thing you're doing, like we discussed. Then you're going to blog about it too. So your newsletter leads them into your website. I also love this because it helps you control the narrative on your site, right? Because your website's the one place you can write however you want in a strategic way and help people get to know you and your brand. It's super powerful. So when you are there, it lets you illustrate your success because people are going to start, cruising around your website. If you have a blog, when someone sees the word blog, they gravitate towards it because they can get to know you in little blurbs. What are you writing about? What are you talking about? What is newsworthy on your site that's being featured in the blog? So include things like this in your blog. Now, for years to come, people will see this on your blog and get excited for you. Because if you, no matter, even if you do the social media posts and you send a newsletter, in 2 years, some people might have forgotten about your Oprah moment. But if it's on your blog, they might not. Especially because for years to come, once it is on your blog, you can link to that news and link to that story in other posts, in future posts when it adds value or when it makes sense. Even when you're talking about other press success in the future, you can say, to hear about some of my other press moments, like when I landed Oprah, click here. Another thing I love about blog posts is they can be linked to Facebook ads or they can be shared and sponsored on Facebook. So it adds to the lifespan and it gives you bigger reach. So we talk about why it's important to blog about this press as well. It's so important. And you can see, I'm sure you've already peeked already, but this is an example. A couple years ago when I was in American Airlines, I was talking about how to bust through creative blocks. So when that magazine went live, I also blogged about it all on my website. But I didn't just say, hey, I was in American Airlines magazine. Awesome. Instead, I said, here's how I bust through creative blocks as seen in American Airlines magazine. Now, there's a little bit of a difference there, right? Because instead of just saying like, hey, I'm just going to sit here and brag about this press I got and then I'm going to leave you, I turned it into an actual piece of content. I repurposed it. I talked about American Airlines deeper in the post. I just got a screen grab, but deeper in the post, I share visuals of the magazine and its cover, and I share exactly what I got. But after a while, they're like, okay, she was at American Airlines. It's great. What next? So I expanded on the information I gave American Airlines. I shared more tips. And we'll talk about how to add publicity to your blog, add value to the blog post you write about your publicity right now. Let me just get a sip of water, my friends. All right. So you're going to write a blog post when you get press. If it's not like, again, if you're getting a lot of little bits here and there, you can always put them together in one blog post and do a sort of combined overview of your press that month. Otherwise, feel free to take whatever amount of press you got and turn it into a newsworthy blog post. So you don't just have to give them the whole I got press, here it is. Instead, you can give them a suck you in and get to know you piece of content. Because when people get to know you more, they trust you more and they shop from you and they follow you and they love you, right? Okay. So take them behind the scenes. What else happened when you were filming that newscast? Show them, share some photos, talk about what the behind the scenes was like. I mean, don't give away all the secrets of a TV show that would be annoyed with you, but make them feel like they're part of your journey. Show them some behind the scenes in the green room, etc. Like I did for the American Airlines article, expand on the tips or information you shared. So I explained the tips that I shared in American Airlines, and I gave them a couple more examples of creativity busting tips that I love. So I added value to my bragging, to my excitement, to my big celebration. You can also talk about the ride before and after your press moment. I've seen a lot of people talk about how I did this or what happened afterwards, or this is some behind the scenes. That gets people excited and engaged in your business again because it makes you feel more real and it gets them like, oh, behind the scenes. Everyone loves behind the scenes. So take them there, but also tell them what happened like before or after. What was the whole experience like? And also, like I said before, give them added promotions or exclusive discounts to celebrate this press with you. They can be ongoing deals or they can be one off opportunities. And again, I wanted to show something over here just to show different things you can do to make that blog post about your press even more valuable and also more share worthy. So at the end of this post I did about creativity, with American Airlines magazine, which you can read the whole article on my site. Just search under American Airlines in the search bar. But I also then included some of my favorite tweets about creativity. And those were shareable in tweetable little tweets on my blog. And so people started sharing those, which led people back to my blog where they got to say, oh, this gal was in American Airlines. She must know her stuff. And oh, B, this is some great information and content she is sharing. Now I get to know more about her as an expert and as a valuable person. I hope that's making sense for you because I really want you to be able to get a lot more out of the publicity that you are working so hard to get. And I also want you to give a lot more value to people who are landing on your social media feeds and your blogs and getting your newsletter, because the more value you give them, the more they're going to stick around and keep wanting more from you. And that's what we want to do with our businesses and our brands. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we've talked about all this sharing and promoting, right? We talked about, and there's more, don't worry, but we talked about some of the basics of sharing and promoting. There are more ways to get people excited about the publicity you're getting. And the next way we're going to talk about is by engaging your community. Getting your community excited about your publicity. So I want you to remember that people want to celebrate with you. And I know we love to go for the image. That should be a lesson for your pitches, by the way. Include images always. So this is an example of student Lisa Batra. Again, I love how well she does her own PR and also shares her publicity. So remembering that people want to celebrate with you, Lisa shared on her own Facebook, and look, I mean, she even calls it like it is, Philly Friends. Like, hey friends, check us out. We are in the Sunday business section of the Philadelphia Inquirer, and bonus, she's dropping a discount code in there. What? And triple bonus, she included the links to the editor from the Philly Inquirer, Diane, and also the Philly Inquirer herself. She ticked every box. Lisa, if you're in this class right now, you ticked every box of the right way to share press and let people celebrate with you. No humble bragging, no awkwardness, just awesomeness, right? And that is what she did. By the way, just as a side note, Lisa runs My Kids Threads, and it is an online consignment shop for kids' clothes. So check that out. Like new, cute fashions. And you can also send in your clothes and get money for them. Any whoosies. She deserves a plug. Look at how she laid out that press. So remember that people want to celebrate with you. They want to engage with you. So When you get press, you need to engage your communities and your networks, like your customers, sharing it with them, getting them excited, encouraging them to celebrate with you. Your real life friends, as I like to call them, because there's like business friends, work friends, real life friends. Don't be afraid to share it with your real life friends. The Facebook groups you're in, the industry groups you're in, your staff, your family, the works. Everybody must know. Everybody must know. Remember, in some of these spaces like Facebook groups and like people in your industry, your entrepreneur squad, remember that you can't just come out of left field having never communicated with them and then be like, hey, everybody, celebrate me, share this information. Instead, you need to nurture your relationships with those groups. Be present, be a part of them, and let them be a part of your journey regularly, sharing what you're up to. Because when you do that, the celebration will be even sweeter for everybody. And then a lot more people are going to share and celebrate your success. But you have to engage your community. So again, sharing it, even like Lisa did, is sharing it with all of her friends. I really think that sometimes entrepreneurs are afraid to share their press success with their real life friends and family because we feel like we're being a pest, but really they are so excited and want to really jump on board and cheer you on. And then remember, you never know who they could recommend or refer you to because they hear you're doing great stuff because of your publicity. All right, before we go on to how you can leverage your publicity into sales and then send you on your way, we interrupt this program to remind you of something. What's that? Don't forget. If you're really into learning things like we're learning today, but you need to get even deeper and do more than like an hour every 2 weeks, remember we have an online self-guided, already made, ready for you to start ASAP today, a PR masterclass. It's called Press for Success, the masterclass, and it is packed with videos like this, but even deeper. Tons of scripts you can use, pitch scripts you can download and use right away to pitch the press. Lots of templates. Every month we meet online for a private, much more deep and intimate talk on PR where you can ask all your questions. We have video pep talks from me, and the course is updated constantly. Podcast pitching lists. We have some really cool classes getting added in for the summer to prep for holiday PR. So you get lifetime access. So don't forget that that is there if you want to meet more than once every 2 weeks for this quickie with me. And if you use our code PR Sexy, my favorite term, at checkout, you get $100 off forever, lifetime access. And again, it keeps growing. The class keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it's already dope. So it's even getting doper. All right. Next up, like I promised, just a quick little interruption there, a quick little commercial break. Building sales through your press. This is something I'm glad we're talking about too, because here's the thing. People have this false belief that, and it partially because people lead you to believe that sometimes, but we hear these fantasies like, I was just on the cusp of quitting my business. And then I was in the Today Show and I sold $50 million of everything. And now I'm doing work in the Cayman Islands. So screw you. Oh, no, 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 no. That is not how it works. So, sure, I can attest as a former full-time publicist that I have several clients that sold 10,000 units on the Today Show when they went on there, and then sold maybe another few thousand every time the wave of that show repeated across the country. But I also have clients who've been on the Today Show and sold 2 pieces or 20 pieces. It depends on so many factors between how they portray you, to how much time you get, to what the show is, to everything, right? That's why getting sales, it needs a little massaging. So we're going to talk about it because press does not automatically beget sales. We massage that press. We leverage that press hit. Anybody who promises you every press hit will turn into sales is lying to you. That is not how it goes. All right. You can't promise. I mean, every time you watch something on TV, you don't buy it. Every time you read something in a magazine, you're not like, oh, I need this right now. But if I keep seeing that thing pop up, and then I start following them on social media, then I get their newsletter, all of those things are layering upon layering in my head. And then I'm like, I need this. I've seen it a few times. Or maybe sometimes you see it once and you're like, hot damn, I need that. Those earrings are amazing. That expert's advice is amazing. I need to go buy 3 hours with them so they can teach me how to dress better or do sit-ups better, etc. So remember, sometimes you sell 1,000 things, sometimes you sell a few, but no press hit is ever a waste because it's part of the bigger brand story we are telling. And it's also part of the way we build relationships with the press. So what can we do to encourage the sales along? So like nudge or shove along the sales. So the first thing you want to remember you want to do is always highlight the press you get on your homepage and your sales page. You need to encourage shopping by getting that press buzz on your homepage. I'm pulling on a product-based brand. If you're an expert, you do the same thing. I want to see logos. I want to see as seen in. I want all that juice from the minute I land on your homepage. So this is a photo of the homepage of Peggy Lee. She has been a student of mine since I first started teaching. And Peggy is great at promoting her press. So again, not just her business, she promotes her press. So if you see over here, when you first land on her page, welcome to Peggy Lee Creations, as seen on, bam, she's hitting it right there. She shows the press. Also on the highlights on her homepage, she has these as seen in. Here's the deal, and experts and service providers, just because I'm not showing one of your websites right now doesn't mean you can't do the same thing. And you need to, because it leads to what we call the halo effect. When people see the logo of a brand that they recognize, like Redbook, Entertainment, as you're looking at Peggy's, House Beautiful, or a news show or a local newspaper, and they see that on your website, even if they don't know you very well, it by the juxtaposition of those, it makes you look more credible and it builds trust and validation. And it begins doing that instantly. So you want that halo effect. So the minute I land on your website, I want to see a logo. I want to see an as seen in. If you're like, I don't have any press yet, well, then first of all, sign up for my Press for Success Masterclass because come on, we need to get you press. Or just keep coming up back here every 2 weeks. But really, you need that halo effect. So make sure from the minute someone lands on your website, they are seeing this. They are seeing your press, your as seen on, even if it's one logo, they want to see that. Now, I want to walk you now through some other photos of what you see when you land on Peggy's website. So the minute you land there, you're like, bam, she's getting all this press. In fact, I can even shop on Peggy's website by Sports Illustrated swimsuit issues, Pretty Little Liars, all the different places that she has received styling or press. It's very clever. It's very validating for her. Next, if you look at the screen now, when I land on her page, I can see on the very sales page alone, I can see logos of places she's getting publicity. So again, every item is getting validated right there. If you do not want, and I understand for aesthetics, not everyone wants to have an as seen on next to every product. If you don't want it on the overview page of all your pieces, what you can do is included on the actual sales page. So over here, as you see, she says, and as seen on Gigi Hadid in Sports Illustrated Swimsuit 2016. So again, she's validating that. If you are a service provider or an expert, you are selling something on your website, whether it is a consultation or an appointment or a class or an ebook on smoothies, Nadia Murdoch Fit, whatever you are selling, you want to have some near that sales page, some as seen in or logos or worn by. So people are like, oh yeah, this thing has been validated by something I trust. This is pretty major. Oh my gosh, I can get a lariat necklace that was in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue on Gigi Hadid for under $80. What? I want that. So again, she draws you in and she builds that halo effect by sharing all the places she's been featured. And good morning. She also zooms in on the actual press moment. So you saw her lariat over here. And if you follow the path, my friends, look it. We see the lariat. Ooh, as seen in Sports Illustrated. I want to know more. Oh my gosh, there it is. And I can zoom in on the actual photo from Sports Illustrated. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Gigi. It is nice to see you. So, woo. But you can see every step of the way she's validating her product and that halo effect. Like, I bet some of you now who may just be getting to know Peggy from this very moment are like, wow, this lady is legit. Her business is no joke. Even local press who are going to land on Peggy's website. Let me just change that screenshot. Thank you. Even local press who are going to land on Peggy's website. Let's say Peggy is pitching a local story, a local business feature to her press in San Francisco, where she's based. If they're searching through her website, deciding if they want to do a business story on her, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she really is a success story. Here she is in Sports Illustrated. Here she is on Pretty Little Liars. So again, sharing these logos all over your sales pages are creating this effect that is going to lead to more excitement. So again, work those. Don't leave them off your sales pages. Ooh, hello, girl. All right. The next thing you want to do to drum up sales support is to use your press in your sales outreach. So share the news with your current and potential wholesale accounts. Show them there is interest in you. If I'm a wholesale, like a boutique or an online retailer, I want to know that people are going to come searching for you. So I want to know you're getting press. If you're on the Today Show, I want to know you are, because then I know the next time you get press, you can say like as seen or purchase it at thecontainerstore.com. So I, as the Container Store, am now interested in you because you're getting press. If you have a trade show booth, you want to enlarge and share big press moments, whether they're local or national, to show that you are exciting. If you are an expert or a service-based business, you want to share your press with your new and potential clients or partnerships with other organizations or companies. You want to include all your press in your pitch decks, because remember, these are all sort of like if you were in the Army or the Navy or the military and you do all kinds of great stuff. You're getting all these badges, right? You're getting awards and you're wearing all these things. You want to wear your publicity like a bunch of badges and show people what is up. Show them all of your success. So put it all over your pitch decks, put it into your sales outreach. Also, if you get really solid press, you need to assess internally. Are the stores and the sales reps who are sharing my products, do they all know about my press? Because they should. They should be getting emails and notes from you about your press success so that they can share your press success with their sales targets. Or because the stores you are, like if you are seen in Oprah's O list, you want all the boutiques around the country that are sharing your product to have a little sign that says as seen on the O list. And if they're not making them, my friends, you are making them. When I was doing PR for smaller brands, trust me, we were making the marketing material for all their stores and sending it to them so they hung it up in their stores. And they did. Just like McDonald's is going to send all of their different stores different posters and things like this. It's your job to get it to the stores that are selling your products. Whew. Okay, guys and gals, we're getting there. We have a couple more things to talk about, and then I'm going to send you on your way. But I wanted to address these two more topics. And then, of course, we have a couple of your questions. So stay with us. And if you have to hop off immediately at 1 because you are live with us, don't worry, we are recording it. If you're part of our recording, you're all good. You can just pause me when you get tired of my voice and then start me back up when you're ready for this. Okay, so what I want to talk about is when you're getting press, and then I'm always asked, okay, I got publicity. Am I allowed to pitch this editor ever again? Am I allowed to reach out to this producer ever again? I'm asked that a lot, so we're going to talk about that next. So let's talk about it first. After the press hit, you, of course, send a thank you email to them right away. Do you send them a gift? You don't have to. Trust me, they're not expecting a gift from you. Some of them cannot even accept gifts. So what I would do is send a handwritten note or a an email thank you note. If you're something like food or something small, you can probably send that. If it was really amazing, you can send them flowers or cupcakes or something. But please know you don't have to ply them with all kinds of product. They are doing their job. So a thank you note or a thank you email or a little something will suffice. Also, you remember that you are sharing the publicity to grow that. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm trying not to snore. Sorry, not snore, sneeze. So excuse me if I'm having a little nose twitch. So we're growing that relationship. So first, we are of course saying thank you. We are also remembering to include their handle when we're sharing that press on social media, because that again makes them happy. That is growing the relationship. we are, of course, tracking all of this work in our PR home base. The PR home base is, of course, the spreadsheet online where we're tracking all of our media outreach, where we are tracking our publicity success. There's a P4S here because if you are a student, you can download that PR home base anytime from the masterclass page. Just log in and download that home base, and there's a space to track your publicity. You always want to track your publicity also, because if an opportunity comes up and someone says, what press did you get? Can you share the press you've had in the past? You want to access it right away. So again, we're talking about this relationship though. So you're tracking them, so you always have their contacts and you know your last point of contact with them. You're sharing your publicity and including the handle of the member of the press you worked with. You sent your thank you note. You are also continuing that relationship right away by making sure you're following them on social media so you can continue your social media interaction with them, pinging them, teasing things out. You're watering that relationship on social media, so to speak. Can you pitch them again? Yes, in caps, I wrote this for you. So the press like to work with people that they like and trust, just like humans do, right? They return to those people. So yes, you can pitch them again if it's timely, if you've got an angle that's timely, if you've got a story for their beat, if it's not a repeat of the exact same story, if you have new expert tips, if you have a new timely article to share with them. Now, you can't get a feature in the press and pitch the exact same person to do a feature on you right away. But like if you're an expert and you're sharing tips, you can share tips with the same producer or editor again because they now trust you as an expert. If you're a product or a product-based company and you have a new product or a new angle, you can share it with them again. Again, now if it's a feature, that's going to be a challenge. But if you want to share a local business owner's perspective on a news story or a new hot topic, sure. So again, you can definitely reach back out to people. Remember, they keep coming back to the same people who provide them value. Just realize, of course, some stories cannot be repeated immediately. Your 3-page feature on you as an entrepreneur in the New York Times is not going to happen every month. But you sharing expert advice to mindbodygreen.com or todayshow.com can happen more than once. You going on TV sharing tips can happen more than once. And an illustration of that is right here. As a lot of you know, my girl Pamela is an on-air style and lifestyle expert. And I just pulled 2 examples of screenshots just to show you, of course you can go on air more than once. Of course you can pitch the press more than once. Pamela is on Good Morning Washington a lot. And this is an example of just a couple different segments. So when she provides value by sharing her expertise with them, she is on there regularly because they trust her and they know she will deliver a great segment. In the same way, if you have an amazing food product or accessories product or other innovation, magazines will want to put you in different stories, put different products of yours in different angles because they trust you. They know you deliver a great product. They know you're easy to work with. So again, please don't think that the one time you get featured sharing tips in Forbes is the only time. We have a student in this very class, this very student body, I should say, who's been featured in Forbes 3 times by the same editor. So she shares different value and different tips, and they keep using her, and that sends traffic to her site over and over again. All right, so the growing the relationship is a basic journey, right? We talked about saying thank you, about staying connected on social media, and of course, pitching them relevant stories when you have new relevant stories to give them. Now, before we answer your questions that you sent in, a couple admin basics about getting press. And there's a couple tools I want to share with you. So you get publicity, you need to save your publicity, right? This is just an admin basic for you. So let me give you a couple ways you can do that. Number 1, if you're on TV, girls and guys, you got to get that clip. TV does not live forever. A lot of news programs aren't going to keep the same videos up forever. Sometimes those clips die. Sometimes those news companies die. It does not always live forever. And if you don't own the video clip, what's going to happen is you're going to link to that on your website, and then that you might have a dead link because the news company might not keep it on forever, or they might move it or change it, and all of a sudden you've got a link that isn't going to your segment. You also might want the rights to share it on your website or on your YouTube, etc. So you need to get the rights to that clip. So what you can do is use a clip service. A clip is another word for just like a news clipping, right? Whether it is a paper clipping or a newspaper clipping or a video clip. So companies that can help you get those include Media Watch 360. This is actually the one that I use. Again, I'm not being paid. It's just the one I trust. They're fast and they're reasonable-ish. Another one is Critical Mention, and they will also pull clippings for you. So if it's a video clipping, often these companies also pull online clippings, newspaper, etc. It's especially handy when you miss your TV opportunity. It's also good if you maybe come on twice in the course of an hour. They can cut out all the filler and just pull apart the pieces that you are on. Okay. So that's the first way to get the TV clip. What if you're online? Here's what I want you to remember. Don't just take the link. Yes, get the link, but also you want to take a professional screenshot of the article and save it because, again, not every article is always online forever. And also, not everyone needs to be linked off your site to go check out an article. So you can get that screenshot of the article if you want, and it can pop up on your own website. You can also use it in your press book. We'll talk about that in a second, and save it in other ways. You want to save a graphic of your online article, not just the link. I want to say that again. You want a graphic of your online article, not just the link of the online article you were in. You got to save that press like a pro would, like a pro publicist would. And finally, when you are in print, such as magazines or newspapers, get the publication, because yes, you can do that, to send you a copy for free. You can request one or a few copies. Just ask the person who did the story with you. Oftentimes, they will remember to send it to you. But what I would say is you let them know you'd love a copy of it when it runs after you finish the story with them. And then when it runs, if you haven't received one, you can ping them and ask for one. Otherwise, you can just buy it. But what you want to do is not just save the copy of the magazine you're in, you want to scan it as well. So you have a scanned copy of that as well. You want to put all that information, those press copies and press clippings, not just on your website, but you want to put it in a press book. What? A press book? Yeah, it's a real book. It's like a photo album of all your publicity. It's a literal book of all your press clippings. And you want to have that as well, because trust me, you might not care about it now, but if you're trying to get that QVC deal, or you're trying to get your expertise as a partner with a big company, you're trying to show your brand power, you're trying to get a licensing deal, you want to trot in there with your press book of all the press you've had so far. When I go to my doctor's office, she has a press book on her coffee table, and I'm like, yes, my doctor is successful, and the New York Times wrote about her. I feel pretty awesome in her hands. So again, you want that press book. So those are 3 ways, the basic admin tools of saving your clippings. It's only a little bit more work, and you don't want to do this like when you have 20 pieces of press that you have to hunt down. You want to do it now so you have it forever. A couple more basics. You want to save your publicity to your press page on your website. I have an example of that coming for you. I'll show it to you. I love to also encourage people to post it to a Pinterest in the news page. So here's the deal. Not all of us can go on the back end of our website and update our publicity the minute it happens. A lot of us have those capabilities now because websites are modernized and changed. That said, not all of us can. And we want to be able to show all of our most up-to-date publicity. So I always recommend to people, along with your in the news publicity press page on your website, if you are in Pinterest, create a Pinterest board that's a public board, everyone can see it, that has all of your press that is pinnable online. And remember, images are also pinnable. Has it all online because it is faster, easier, and less expensive than adding media to your website all the time as it happens, as you start getting more and more press. It's also a very fun way to be found and discovered by new people. And finally, it's a quick and easy link that's also trustworthy that you can send to producers when they say, let me see your reel, or if an opportunity comes up and they say, let me see all of the press you've had, you can send them straight to this Pinterest page if your website is not fully up to date. It's a little shortcut for those of us who can't fully update our website all the time. And finally, my friends, don't forget to update your collateral. When you get press, is your biography updated? Is your About Us page updated? And I mean digitally and in any print material you have. Is your as seen in message in those places updated? Or if you don't have one and now you've debuted on the Today Show, do you have all of that information in the right place? In all your material, even in your social media biographies, you might want to add in an as seen in, or have you checked out this article of ours in Vanity Fair magazine, wherever you are. So again, making sure you've updated all of your collateral material. And as I said to you, I want to show you how that looks on a website. So if you look at Dr. V, another Press for Success gal, if you look up here on the right, she has her press page right here. And then when you click on it, you're able to see, look at this, you see all these logos. And then as you scroll down, you can watch her videos, you can see her press. So if you are to land on this, do you sense what I'm saying about the halo effect? This woman looks like she means business, looks like she's got a lot going on. That excites people. That makes them think, yes, we want her to partner with us on this event or this program, or we trust her as a success story locally. So again, this is what you do when you want to build that buzz. You get a press and praise section. You get those logos up there. And then below, if you were to scroll down this screen, you would see a lot more press in little nuggets where you could watch and read about more. Now I've got some Q&A from you, and then I'm going to send you on your way. So take 2 quick Q&As, and I want you all to listen because these could be questions that you have as well. So let's go through these Q&As. There's just 2. And of course, if you ever have questions, you can interrupt at any time and ask your questions. But these 2 were sent in ahead of time, so I wanted to make sure to answer them before I sent you on your way. All right. Number 1, we've all been there. Sabina, I know I need to pitch a business feature, but I don't even know where to begin brainstorming. Any ideas? Yes, I've got 2 quick places you can get business feature ideas. Number 1, it's a no-brainer. Read the media outlets that you want to be featured in for inspiration. If you want inspiration and you want to be in these media outlets, you need to read them. When you start reading Inc. or Entrepreneur or Marie Claire or Glamour or wherever you want to be for your feature story, if you start watching the local news where you want to be featured, you're going to start seeing the stories they cover and you're instantly going to start thinking of ways they can feature you. Most of the time that people tell me, oh, I want to be in Forbes, or I want to be in Inc., I want to be in Entrepreneur magazine, I want to be in Fast Company. And I say, when was the last time you read or watched it? And their answer was like, I'm not sure. That's why you don't have any inspiration. You don't even know what they cover. The minute you start reading in there, your brain is going to start ticking out ideas. Here's the other, and I'm going to take you on a little journey here. Here's the other quick way I get inspiration and a lot of other strategic PR help. I follow the Facebook feeds of target outlets. So like I follow Inc. and Entrepreneur because I see all the stories they're covering going down the page of their Facebook page. But I also follow feeds that aggregate stories like business features, like the one I want to be told. So let's look at that right now. Before I let you go, look at this. So here's a feed that I follow. It is called She Owns It, and they aggregate business feature stories from all over the web. So if you look at it right now, I see a story, a $100,000 salary wasn't enough to keep this ex-lawyer from following her dream. Ooh, CNBC article. And it gives me some ideas about stories they cover there and also how to create a hook. Or, ooh, a story about some successful entrepreneurs in Nashville. Ooh, scroll down here. From mom to entrepreneur, how this woman is disrupting the wine industry. I wonder if I could also talk about myself, like from this to that, how I'm disrupting something. So again, you're scrolling through places like this, how an aha moment at work helped these entrepreneurs find success. So again, I'm scrolling down and I'm finding inspiration from all these other outlets that are going to help me give me inspiration for my own business story. And another thing I want to show you can do here. So when I click on, let's say I want to click on from mom to entrepreneur, how she's disrupting the wine industry. I can click on that article in Forbes. And of course, Forbes always has their little promotion, but I'm going to continue to that article. And here's what I'm going to do. I just want you to see how useful it is to hunt these people down. So I not only get inspiration for my own business feature article, but if I click on Brian's name, the article editor, this person who writes all kinds of small business stories, right? Have all these leadership stories, entrepreneur articles, etc. I can see all the different entrepreneurial stories he's writing about. And then I can connect with him on social media, on Instagram, all these different places. So not only does researching these places help stir creativity inside of you for your own business features by checking those Facebook feeds and following the outlets you want to be in, it also gives you insight into who's writing those articles. So bam, double whammy. So again, if you're trying to get some ideas and you don't feel creative, you feel like you're stuck, again, can I encourage you to, number one, to read those places you want to be. And number two, I want you to follow the Facebook feeds of your target outlets and also the Facebook feeds of people like I was showing you over here. She owns it because it's showing you a feed. They aggregate all that content. They're aggregating all these business feature stories, and it's going to give you inspiration without having to hunt them all down yourself. They cut out the middleman and do the hunting of the articles for you. Next question. Can I share this press I'm getting with other members of the press? This is a long answer, so I'm just going to give you a quickie, and I'm going to continue it on the website, my website. But that depends because all press is different, right? That's not a short answer, but you can share across if you're pitching a newspaper article about yourself, you can say you're as seen on the Today Show or Oprah's favorite things because they're not competing and you don't look played out with all their competitors. If you are trying to get local press, you can totally pitch the fact that you've been in the national news because that leads to a local publicity celebration. They're excited for you. You're a success story. You don't want to pitch your press to other competitors. You don't say, as seen on the Today Show, to Good Morning America. You don't pitch your local Fox station and say, you might have seen me on local NBC. That is weird. It's like going on a date and saying, I was just on a date yesterday with the guy you're in high school, like you're in school with or whatever. So again, you got to keep it, no competitors. Just go across platforms. Use it when it's going to bolster and add value to your pitch, and not if you're questioning it, you want to pull it out. And we'll be talking about that more. Press for Success students, we're going to be talking about that more in a private discussion on the Press for Success private online class page. So look for that there because I know some of you come to these classes as well. Finally, the last question I received, and I think a lot of you have probably asked this before. What are your thoughts on advertorials? Are they worth the money? So as a lot of you might know, an advertorial is a mix of editorial with advertising. So it's an advertising story that looks like a real story, but not too much because that'd be illegal, right? So it's sort of woven into a magazine or a website or sometimes even on TV. So my first thought was, first ask yourself this. Say to yourself, how often do I shop or purchase from advertorials versus regular press, such as magazines and blogs, versus social media discoveries coming from influencers or ads or just on Instagram versus word of mouth? So that's the first thing I want you to ask yourself. Am I buying from advertorials? I know I'm not because I see them as an ad and I pass it right by. I'm more apt to check out advertorials online because they tend to be more clever. Even on like BuzzFeed does them well, but I still feel like I'm more apt to pass it over. I don't know about all of you, how you feel. That's what I feel. Also, remember that not every advertorial is created equally. Some of them are amazing and well done and look good. Others look sort of cheap and like advertising. So again, I tear it out of the magazine or I ignore it online. So I'd be looking at what the advertorials looked like in the past and saying, is this what my brand wants to be aligned with? And does this look like something that will get people's attention? The next thing I do is I always ask for references. When you buy something like that, you can ask for references from past businesses, or if you don't want to do that, just look at their past layouts, ask to see some past advertorials, and then reach out directly on your own to the brands that were featuring it and say, tell me about your ROI. Would you do it again? What did you like? What did you not like? Get that information. This is your money you are parting with. Then see, is there going to be ROI in it for me? Do I really think it's worth it for all that money I'm spending? And finally, I'm going to say this because this is how I really feel. Will this advertorial bring you as much value and visibility and validation and trust that a little bit more focused and strategic PR work will bring you? How much do you have to spend time-wise and money-wise to get the same impact as pure PR can get you? Because if you're pitching regular press, you might get a press hit into the same magazine or website that is looked at by so many more people because they trust it more because it's real press versus an advertorial. So there's never a one size fits all answer, but those are my guiding questions for you. That the lady who sent in the advertorial question, I hope that helped you. And also, again, I would begin with this big ask though, and say to yourself and your friends, how often are you using advertorials? Maybe you just wanted to get the name of your business out there and you think it'll start becoming familiar in people's heads. But guess what? PR does that too. I'm just going to say it. Okay, until next time, just a couple reminders. Bam, get ready to get serious about your PR. Don't forget, we have an online self-guided masterclass. It is not live. You can take it anytime, night and day. It grows every month in terms of content. And every month we do a private one-on-one session, a group session as well, but online. No one but students there. You can ask anything, you can talk, you can vent, etc. And you can use the code PRSexy to get $100 off the class for life. It is an amazing class, and the students who are taking it are killing it. And with $100 off, it's super affordable. More affordable than any advertorial will ever be, my friends. And then remember, don't let us just say goodbye right now. Hang out in the Facebook community. The link is right here. Check it out. Hang out with me on Instagram all day, every day. George Michael, my dog, is there too. We are a twofer deal on Instagram. Sign up for that newsletter. Get that newsletter if you're not on it yet, because it is juicy and good, and we send it out every week. And if you are here with me live, don't forget, next class is coming up Thursday, June 8th, in 2 weeks. But if you don't want to wait 2 weeks, get in that Facebook group and sign up for the Press for Success Masterclass. That's the two things you can do until then. Otherwise, I'll see you on June 8th and on Instagram. Okay, my friends, have an amazing day if you're here with us live, but have an amazing day if you're here with me as a recording too. I want to hear about your success, and I want to see you on Instagram. So I'll talk to you later, and you can access this recording anytime on the Sabina Knows website. Until later, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Go get it. Go get that PR. Bye, guys and gals.